thank you very much for having me, and thank you for your interest in the topic. We've just heard about the Forex market, and of course, blockchain and digitalization more generally. They affect the way that various markets operate, and the gold market is no exception. Before I discuss the tokenization of gold and the impact it may have on the gold market, I'd like to say a few words about the World Gold Council. We are the gold market development organization. We are an association of 32 gold mining companies from across the world with operations in almost 50 countries. Some of them also have operations in Europe. And basically, we work to improve the functioning of the gold market, focusing on three objectives: improving the understanding of the market, because as you know, gold is not only an investment asset, it's also jewelry, it's a central bank reserve asset, it's a technology component. Our second objective is to improve the access to the market, and our third objective is to develop standards to improve trust in gold, because sometimes it can also be an issue, and I'll speak about it later as well. In terms of our strategic vision, what we want to do is to digitalize the market, as we believe that the market can and should be more accessible, should be more fungible, and should be more integrated. And of course, the tokenization of gold is one of the elements that will help to make this happen. In terms of gold and its properties, so gold, as you know, is an important investment for many individual and institutional investors. Private investments in gold account for about 3 million euros in holdings. In addition to that, we have 2 trillion euros in holdings by central banks. In terms of the demand, we are talking about 60 billion euros annually. Last year's demand by central banks was highest on record back to 1950. So it seems that having these numbers in mind, the tokenization of gold and tokenized gold would provide a new innovative way to invest in gold next to coins, bars, and gold ETFs. But maybe first, why do investors invest in gold? For retail investors, gold provides security and safety. It's a hedge against inflation. It's a source of long-term returns. Over the last 50 years, average return on gold was 11% annually. For institutional investors, the primary motivation behind investing in gold is gold's liquidity. It's a large market. It's a global market. It's a liquid market. Over 140 billion euros are traded every day. It's a diversifier. It benefits from flight to quality during times of crisis. So in general, it allows investors to meet their liabilities when other less liquid assets suffer from mispricing or are undervalued. And finally, the official sector. Central banks have always held gold, historically held gold, and they continue to do so because it's a strategic asset. Gold is no one's liability, and especially recently, it seems that the significance of gold has increased, driven mainly, but not only, by the rising geopolitical uncertainty, tensions between the major economies, and also changes in the international monetary system, with central banks, especially central banks from developing countries, reducing their exposure to the dollar and increasing the share of gold in their reserves. So as I mentioned, investors usually purchase gold in the form of coins, bars, and ETFs. And gold tokens would be a new way, a new, more innovative way of investing in gold. And before I talk about the details of gold tokenization, I would like to make an important distinction between fully backed and synthetic gold tokens. These two types of tokens have distinct features, distinct structures, and they entail varying levels of risk. Fully backed gold tokens, they offer investors one-to-one direct ownership in gold, which is stored in a vault. While synthetic tokens, they track the price of gold without being backed by physical gold. In my presentation today, I will focus on gold tokens that are 100% backed by physical gold. And we believe that they present a huge opportunity, a huge chance to modernize the wholesale and retail market. Actually, this could also be true for the other tokens backed by other precious metals or other commodities. So a token that represents direct ownership in physical gold avoids many of the risks that other crypto assets and stablecoins may pose. So first, a gold token is not a financial liability of the issuer. It represents the investor's ownership in physical gold. Second, there are no risks from leverage because physically backed gold tokens, they do not allow for leverage. Third, there are no asset liability mismatches. There are no maturity risks. The risk of mispricing is also limited because the price of the token depends on the price of gold and not the nature, the quality, and price volatility of a group of reserve assets that back the token. In terms of redemption rights and redemption risks, they are also limited as compared to other crypto assets, and they can be optimized through the design of redemption rights and individual arrangements between the token issuer and the token buyer. So as I mentioned, physically backed gold tokens, they can play a key role in improving accessibility and fungibility of the market for several reasons. First, tokenization enables fractional ownership, and by dividing gold into smaller digital tokens, individuals with smaller budgets can also invest in and benefit from the gold market. Second, the market is accessible 24/7, and this is also what Pascal mentioned earlier. This applies to various crypto assets, and that's the case. And in case of gold as well. Transactions can be executed at all times, regardless of investors' geographical location or the traditional business hours of financial institutions. Third, we believe that gold tokens have the potential to attract a broader spectrum of investors, including the younger cohort of investors from across the world. Obviously, tokenization as such enables more efficient peer-to-peer transactions, which reduces costs, which shortens the processing times, but which also allow for more accurate pricing of gold because transactions are conducted between a higher number of participants and they are cleared in the real time. Obviously, the use of the blockchain technology enables tracking of transactions, which increases transparency and which in turn enhances trust in gold. As I already mentioned, the gold market is liquid. By increasing accessibility, fractionalizing ownership, enabling peer-to-peer transactions, attracting a global pool of investors, the liquidity of gold can and probably would increase even further. With more accurate pricing, with increased transparency, market participants would be able to take more informed decisions about whether they want to invest in gold, which again can lead to a strengthened feeling of confidence and trust in the market. The market would become more open since it would be attractive to a wider range of investors from different backgrounds, from different geographical locations. So you can say it would become more inclusive. And one more thing which I think is interesting and important is that tokenization of gold also introduces new ways and new opportunities for how gold is used. It facilitates the use of gold not only as an investment or a store of value, but tokenized gold may be more easily and readily employed as a collateral in interbank lending or investment financing. It can serve as a means of payment. And this expanded functionality of gold would mean that the usability of gold also increases, and well, it would transform gold into a more multifaceted asset within the financial ecosystem as such. Yeah, so the enhanced liquidity, flexibility, inclusivity of the market, the greater usability of gold as an asset, attracting a wide range of market participants, and they create also new ways of investing in gold, financial and promote financial innovation. And at the end, we believe that that would promote gold among investors, among various groups of investors, and as a result of which, it is likely that the demand for gold would increase globally. Yes, so just to summarize, as I mentioned at the beginning of my presentation, the World Gold Council has developed a strategic vision for transforming the global gold market. It's known as 247. We can discuss it later if you are interested. To ensure that the market is accessible, fungible, integrated, because the gold market must undergo digital transformation. It must allow for transparent 24/7 retail and wholesale transactions. And it seems that the tokenization of gold is one of the means, or is actually essential to modernize the market and to make it more accessible to, as I said, to various types of investors now and in the future as well. Thank you very much. Thanks.